Hello there, Libras. Welcome to your reading. I feel like the energy for the rest of this month is going to be a little bit up and down, okay? And there will be periods of highs and lows. So I just want you to kind of like keep that in mind. It is the natural progression, the natural energetic exchange in our environment. And I feel like, it's going to be a little bit ebb and flow, okay? The first thing that I'm seeing, which is a little bit strange, is I see this dollhouse, right? And you kind of have like a cross section of the dollhouse where you can see inside, first floor, second floor, etc. But it's not a house; it's an office building. And you see, like on the first floor, there's like mail clerk, people that deliver mail, deliver packages, deliver equipment, inventory, etc. The second floor, it's like the number cruncher. So it's like the analysts, the accountants. The third floor is like the white collar people, where they're at their offices or at their cubicles, doing a little bit more, I want to say, important stuff. A little bit, they're doing things that are more visible to the public, and they're dealing with the public. And then you have the fourth floor, which is like the supervisors, the manager, and then the fifth floor, which is the high power executives or the directors, or whoever's in charge of that company, that organization. And I see a hand coming in, so keep in mind it's still like a dollhouse. Somebody's like moving people around, moving furniture around from the first floor to the fifth floor, from the fifth floor to the fourth floor, etc. So I feel like this denotes to me some massive, massive, massive restructuring in your work environment. So I'm feeling that. And I feel like for many of you, it might be at a point where you're not sure. It's like there are so many changes happening, and you're not really sure if it's good changes. You're not really sure what the end result is going to look like. Some of you might feel like, I don't feel you losing your job, but you're kind of like, are they consolidating my position? Are they splitting up my position and, creating two jobs? Are they going to make my position redundant? Or, is so-and-so that I'm working for still going to be here? Are they going to be let go? Who is, not carrying their weight? I feel like there are a lot of things, a lot of strings pulled behind the scenes, okay? And it's almost like the forces of change are a lot bigger than you. And so it seems almost like you feel a little bit like a cog in the machine. You feel a little bit like a pawn. You feel like your fate might be resting in somebody else's hands. And you feel like the situation you might not have any control over, and that's a little bit kind of like unsettling. And so I feel like there's this at the same time, the excitement and the apprehension that's coming in your environment, and you're just like, I'm not sure what these changes are going to look like. Once they're done implementing all of these changes, all of these personnel reshuffling, all of these, movement and restructuring, at the end of the day, or at the end when they're done, at the end of the process, what is there left? For me, where am I going to be? What is it going to look like? And I feel like you're trying to, bypass the steps to get to the end, just to have a little bit more clarity and a little bit more certainty. Okay, so I feel like there's definitely a lack of certainty here as it relates to your work situation. I definitely feel your job is safe. I feel like the changes are for the better. And I feel like these structural changes was something that they wanted to do a while ago. So it just so happens that, now's the time. Mainly because maybe some things are happening from the top down, and they're just like, well, while the top people are restructuring, we might as well restructure internally too. So it's like a trickle down effect. And I feel like, these are changes that were much needed, that needed to be made a while ago. And I feel like, maybe the number crunchers, the analysts, the people that make the predictions or the projection. They finally, finish their work, and they're like, here's how much you're going to save by restructuring the work environment, or reorganizing personnel, or shuffling things around. Here's how much the company or the organization is going to save. And so maybe, they're done with that process, and then as a result, the changes are happening right now. And so I feel like, don't fret over it, okay? Allow the transition to naturally take place. You guys are generally very, very good at what you do. You're very diligent with your work. You are also incredibly, you're very talented. And I feel like, if you've been working really hard, if you've been, doing your due diligence to make sure that you don't slack off, make sure that you don't, that you do your job to the best of your capabilities, I feel like there's no need to fear this process. Enjoy the process and allow the restructuring to happen, okay? I'm going to pull out, let me see, can we do two more? So there's another image that I am feeling for you guys. And I see this woman, she's wearing like a sports bra. And, like a sports bra, she's at a park, she has her headphones on, she's running, and she's wearing like a close-fitting shirt and like jogger shorts. And she's running at a park, she's minding her own business, and she so happens to pass by this area where there's a lot of exercise equipment. This is at a park. She's passing by these two men, and they're looking at her, and they're like oogling her. Okay, and so I feel like that can be really annoying. So I don't know if you're getting oogled at. I don't know if like people are like coming to you, wanting to talk to you, leering at you, or just like thirsting after you. Maybe in an environment that might not be appropriate. Okay, so like while you're, running around, doing all your chores, doing your groceries, or even running at the park, running at the gym, whatever it is, while you're busy, occupied with something, and, focusing on self-care, all these people are coming out of the woodwork and just kind of wanting your attention at very inopportune times. That's what it feels like to me. And so I do feel a certain degree of frustration from some of you, because the people are coming in, and I feel like they're just, coming at you and making their feelings so known at very opportune moments. Okay, so I'm sensing already, you might be a little bit stressed out at work. You're taking care of yourself. You're, exercising, dieting, and I feel like, the woman, she might be jogging at the park just for her mental health, for her mental well-being, to clear her head after a potentially stressful day at work. And she just wants to be left alone, and these people are just, like oogling her. And so I feel like, in a way, it's like you're very much focused on this. For some of you who are single, you're focusing on self-care, you're focusing on work, you're focusing on really finding your solid ground and your grounding. And I feel like, suitors and people that might be taking a huge interest in you, they're coming in at a time where you love the single life, you want to be single, or you might just, have a lot on your plate already, and you might not feel like you have the time to date. Okay, so that's what I'm sensing here. And I pulled out these two cards just to clarify the cards that show up, because the cards that showed up are a little bit problematic. So give me just a moment here. I'm trying to figure out where I should even start. So let me talk about this. Yeah, let's talk with the sword energy, because this is your element. So we have here 8 of Swords, okay? Feeling like you're kind of stuck in this place, all right? Like, do I move left? Do I move right? It's like a chess game. If I do this, what's my opponent going to do? If I make this move, what's the upper management going to do? If I do this, what's my colleague going to do? So I feel like this is heavily workplace related, where there's a lot of information coming through and you're not sure which information is truthful and which information is like appropriate to act upon. So I feel like there are a lot of structural changes here. We have the Tower. So lack of movement, lack of information, and massive restructuring, that's all happening around you. And we also have the devil. Somebody is behind the scenes pulling the strings, okay? But I feel like this is a necessary evil. This situation has to happen in order for us to create an environment that is a lot more fruitful, where people are accountable for the work that they do, where people start like stop behaving like automatons and just, do whatever they're told. People need to take initiative and, think for themselves, act for themselves, and to be, I want to say, like, less dependent upon, upper management, or even dependent upon information that's filtered in from the top down, and learn to think for themselves. So I feel like there's a situation here that's you're not 100% comfortable with. And I wish I could. And the Nine of Swords is more confusion. The Nine of Swords is still further lack of clarification, lack of consensus, lack of information that's coming into the picture. And I feel for many of you, this is definitely work. For some of you, this is like a change in a very significant dwelling, like a home environment, or even like a building that you're living in. There might be, I'm sensing like there might be noise violation, there might be loud neighbors, there might also be like a situation where you're trying to break out of a lease, because this is sort of like something that binds us, okay, like a legal contract, even something that binds us financially to a situation. So some of you might be, you're locked into a lease at an apartment, for example, for like, a year, and then you find another apartment and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this place, but you can't really break out of your lease in order to move. And then for others of you, it's sort of like, what's my next move? Where do I go? And I feel like you don't want to make the wrong move. You're waiting for a pay increase. You're waiting for a promotion. You're waiting for, like the work situation to really kick up and pick up, so that you can figure out, like, what's my financial future going to look like? So I feel some of you might be in a situation where you're piecing together multiple jobs in order to make ends meet. Okay, we have here the Four of Pentacles. This is what people call the miser card. This is like counting your pennies. This is saving up for a rainy day. This is kind of like the hoarding process, where we are being really careful with how much is leaving our bank account, how much money is coming in, itemizing things, as well as anticipating further down the line there's going to be a huge payment. There might be repairs on property, sale of a home, repairing a home in order to be able to sell it for an acceptable price. And I feel like many of you are very, very cautious here. Some of you could be very, very cautious with your money, because you are planning or implementing a major trip, saving up for this big trip, as well as saving up for buying property. So I feel like there's a lot of changes structurally happening around you, and especially in your environment, okay? And I feel like you're waiting. I'm seeing some people even, waiting for a recession, waiting for a market to kind of like, I don't want to say crash because that sounds so fatalistic, but like waiting for property value to drop so that you can get into a really cheap property, like buy a really, really, or multiple properties. Or some of you are just like thinking about the financial uncertainty in the market right now, and you're just like, I'm not spending, I'm doing a spending freeze just so I can save up, which is very, very practical and very, very good. But there's overall, through this spread, there's this climate of uncertainty, lack of clarity, lack of certainty as it relates to your work, as it relates to your money, as it relates to where you are going to be in 3 months, in 3 years. Are you safe here? Should you stay here? Or should you, start venturing out? Okay. For those of you in relationships, on the other hand, I feel like there might be this situation here. We have here the 10 of coins and then the 5 of coins, okay? So this is what I would call like divvying up assets, okay? So some of you could be in a position where you are finalizing a divorce, for example, and the only thing that's not liquidated, for example, is like your house. You have assets that can't be easily divvied up, so you have to sell the property before you can divvy up the assets. So we're going from the 10 of Pentacles to the 5 of Pentacles, something being halved, okay, something being cut in half. And then we also have the child support card, the 6 of Pentacles, which is sort of like, if I were to leave this relationship, how much am I going to keep? How much am I going to have to give my partner? Or how much is fair, the financial exchange between, existing partners? Like what's fair or what's not? I feel though, for many of you, you definitely have a situation here where you are bombarded with a lot of options, a lot of suitors, okay? And what I have here is the Ace of Cups. So this is the big love. This is the great love. It comes in with the Tower. So this is something that happens very, very unexpectedly, very, very swiftly. And I feel like the person that you're dealing with, for some of you, there could be a very big earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, that might be involved in the picture. That might be the new person that's coming into the picture. And I feel like it happens very swiftly, very suddenly. And it's almost like somebody is giving you this declaration of love and you have no idea. They might say like, oh, I really miss you. I really enjoy the time with you. And it's coming in from a source that is totally unexpected. So you might get you might get hit on. And going back to that woman jogging, and I feel like, you have a lot on your mind, Libras. You have a lot happening, a lot on your mind. And I also feel like for some of you, this could be somebody that you work with where you're making this calculus, you're weighing out your options. Like, if this is somebody in my work environment, is it safe for me to pursue this person? Do I need to talk to human resources? Is it appropriate for me to date this person? How is this going to work long term? Is it going to hurt my credibility? Is it going to hurt their credibility as a worker or as an employee? And so I feel for many of you, you might be dealing with like a higher up that you're attracted to, or someone who's attracted to you. You might be dealing with a subordinate who you are attracted to, or somebody who's attracted to you. And so I feel like there's a lot at stake here. Like it seems to me like structurally, you have a really, really solid career, okay? You're getting a lot of positive reception, getting awards, getting recognition, a lot of recognition in your work environment. And you have a lot of financial prosperity. You're climbing and building and creating not only, your reputation, but like you're building a lasting legacy in your work environment. And then this love situation comes in and you're just like, yes, I like this person and they obviously like me, but is this a safe route for us to take? With the Tower, it's something that is built on a very faulty foundation. And so we want to be really, really careful about how we tread, how we move forward, and whether or not it is smart to act on our impulses, especially, with work and love, like workplace romances. I feel like it's just something that you need to be careful about, okay? I definitely feel somebody's giving you a lot of attention. So we have here Ace of Cups with the 6 of Coins, okay? This is the generosity card. This is giving things out, being very, very generous with their time, their resources, their affection, compliments, for example. So I feel like there's definitely some type of a power differential in this, courtship, in this attraction. And then I'm also feeling like you're dealing with someone who's very, very, very generous. And I feel like they've got the hots for you, but you're not really sure if they're nice to everybody, if they do this to everybody, or if they are eyeing you exclusively. So there's a certain amount of kind of like trepidation from your end. Okay, so this is the sword energy, and this is your energy. It's sort of like, I don't know how to go ahead with this. I don't know how to move forward. I don't know if they're sincere. I don't know if they're like this with everybody. Um, so in a way, it's like this offer of love, this really, really beautiful gesture, the attention that they're giving you, the love and the compliments that they're showering upon you, I feel like you're dealing with somebody who is, they don't say things unless they mean it, okay? Because with this card here, this is somebody who sees the worth in other people. And then we have here the Page of Cups. This is a very innocent, playful type of energy. And coupled with those two, I feel like it's not somebody that lies, or it's somebody that, will try to butter you up, or, sugarcoat things. This is somebody who is sincere. And they're very, very sincere in their innocence. They're very sincere with their affection. And they're very, very sincere with their compliments. And I feel like for many of you, it's a situation where there is new love here, brand new, somebody brand new. It's not like an ex coming back from the past, because we have the Ace and then also the Page of Cups. And so it definitely denotes to me like options galore, people coming in. And I think I felt this for your to be a part of the conversation that you're having with a coworker or a colleague. There's definitely a lot of workplace romance, and somebody wants a segue in, somebody wants to kind of like wedge themselves in, trying to, find a find an entrance to kind of like communicate with you, speak with you, and things like that. And then I also feel as well, for some of you, you might be in a relationship and then somebody is kind of like making a move on you as well. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt, and whatever your situation is, I feel like there's some guilt here. Every time I see this card, sleepless nights, Nine of Swords, guilt, dealing with someone who might be a little bit of a nag, dealing with some things that you're just like, I don't really know what to do about this because I'm conflicted about the way that I feel. And then I'm also sensing as well, career, work, things like that. It's going really well for you here. We have the Six of this is the Six of Wands. Success, getting positive reception, getting positive accolades, being in the limelight. So I feel like for many of you, you're in a position where you are doing a lot of presentation, you're on stage, you're giving a lot of information to other people, you're showing other people how to do things as well. I'm looking at this little mouse. He's got a measuring tape. He's measuring. And so I feel like you're in a very, very lucrative position. And that's why I feel that your job is very, very safe, okay? You have a lot of new people entering and cycling through your work environment as well. So that might be where the newness, the new energy, the excitement. I do see this element about somebody who's hanging on to your every word, who's like seeing you kind of like the apple of their eyes. And they're in a position where they're being very, very open with the way that they feel about you. It comes fast. It comes like with light, a very, very transformative time for your love life, okay? For those in relationships too, taking relationships to the next level, solidifying some things, possibly changing, moving from one apartment to a bigger apartment. So if you live alone and now you're in a relationship and you're just like, there's talks here about traveling together, moving in together, creating a bigger space, adding more people to the family. Pregnancy, I feel, is very highly indicated as well. So you have a lot of things that are happening, and I feel like you're restructuring many, many, many areas of your life in order to accommodate all of these changes. And change always brings about trepidation. It always brings about like a certain level, I feel, of anxiety, okay? And that's what I'm sensing here. A lot of trepidation, but also a lot of excitement, a lot of exciting things that are coming into the picture for you. And so you're really on display. And I also feel like you're erring on the side of caution, which is good, okay? I feel like you're holding your feelings close to your chest. You're not wanting to make the wrong move, and you're being very, very methodical about the things that you do. But I feel like this is going to be, pretty much the continuation of the beginning of this month, where it's like a lot of love offers that are going to be kind of like oozing their way in, okay? I see this kind of like fog lifting, and it's just everybody is really front and center. Ace of Cups here. It happens very fast. It happens very suddenly. I'm drawn to the three birds, giving her messages of love, and she's got this cup out, and she's like, "No, this is the only thing that I want." So I feel like some of you definitely have your eyes on a specific person, and you're waiting for this person, and there's definitely some mutual reciprocity here. Okay, give and take, the balance coming back into the relationship. So I'm seeing a lot of earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, in particular a Capricorn. I'm also seeing as well fire sign and air sign. So fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, as well as actually all of the signs are here. I'm seeing fire sign, water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but I feel like the fire sign comes in the strongest because I feel like they're promising you something that is very sturdy. And in a time where things are in flux, and you're dealing with a lot of structural changes, you might gravitate towards like the earth sign because they're kind of like the pillar of stability in your life right now. And because of that, you are feeling like, you gravitate towards it because it's something that's missing in your life right now. The restructuring that's happening, I feel like some people in your work environment are going to be let go, okay? And then I also feel like if you're working on a contract basis, there's going to be an upping when it comes to fees, when it comes to your check, your paycheck, like you're increasing in your worth and your value. And I feel like your employers are going to see that. If you're working like self-employed, for example, um, I'm seeing like overhead costs with this 10 of coins, unanticipated or unaccounted for overhead costs that you hadn't planned for. So, for example, electricity bills, water bill, internet bill for those who are running a business, or even like inventory, things like that. So, just keep these things in mind. There's just a lot of changes right now, but I feel like these things need to happen right now so that we can take care of it, okay? The Aries energy is very, very good for getting things going, fixing things, starting things, taking initiative. And so I feel like this might be the prime time to do it because, if we move into the time of Taurus and then later on Gemini and then Cancer, you might be a little bit too scattered or too afraid to make these big overhaul changes and restructuring in your own life, okay? So roll with the punches. Everything, the dust is going to settle. The dust is going to settle. And I feel like these changes that are coming in, they are going to be a lot more transformative in a very good way, okay? So just hang in there, all right, Libras? For those of you who are looking for a reading, and if you are looking for a reader, I have included a link in the description box below for a psychic. She is based out of California. Her name is Bridget. She's phenomenal. I highly recommend that you get a reading with her if you're looking for a reader. And better, okay? So I wish you the best, Libras. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you guys soon.